listening to the Metal Command Podcast.
Welcome back to the Metal Command Podcast, everybody. Tony here with you, and today I'm bringing you an interview with Wade Black, the vocalist of Wade Black's Astronomica. Of course, Astronomica named after the Crimson Glory album that Wade sang on. Wade Black has also sang in Leatherwolf, putting out a great album called World Asylum. He has also sang in the band Seven Witches, and of course, we now have the new Wade Black's Astronomica album that we are going to talk about in this interview. And of course, we talk a lot about the other stuff that he's done in the past as well. So with that being said, here is the interview with myself and Wade Black from Wade Black's Astronomica. Check it out. Welcome everybody back to the Metal Command Podcast. Tony here with you. Today I'm here with Wade Black, of course. Wade Black's Astronomica, new album called The Awakening, out on Roar Rock of Angels Records, who have, obviously, as many of you know, just teamed up with Reigning Phoenix Music, which I think is a great thing for a lot of the bands on Roar, because it's going to elevate them up a little bit better distribution, promotion, kind of become part of a different entity, and I'm really excited for that as well. But this album is very good, man. So talk about this record, Wade Black's Astronomica. How did this all get together for you?
Well, we started kind of kicking it around a little bit. It being the 25th anniversary of the record, why not call it Astronomica? I had sang on that record, so why not, get a little bit of bang for the buck. Not a lot of people know who Crimson Glory is. Maybe they know my name. So, we decided to put the two together and end up coming up with a game plan. And, everything's looking good for us right now. We just got back from Greece. Greece tour was incredible. But, yeah, we're ready to move on to the next level. This merger happening with Roar and RPM and this and that. We have a lot of good bands that are on this roster that we could put together a tour that hopefully is going to happen in 25. So there's just big dreams and aspirations.
I think the merger is great. The biggest issue I had with Roar wasn't the quality of the product or the quality of the bands. It was the ability to get, like, a lot of people in the metal scene, they love physical product. It was the ability to really get that here in the States. And the thing is, they had great people promoting stuff. I mean, like, I get, if I'm going to pick a label, the two labels that were probably the best at getting into my inbox, or two of the top three, it would be Roar and it would be RPM, formerly also known as Atomic Fire. So now, in the bad economic climate for the music business, I think this merger is great. I really honestly do.
I agree with that. The more heads that you put together, everybody has different reaches. I don't know how exactly extensive Roar is, but with them teaming up with these guys and stuff definitely opens a few more doors for everybody. So I think it's going to be a great thing.
Absolutely. So let's get into the album, man. A lot of people, if you've heard the Astronomica album by Crimson Glory, this album to me is a lot different. Your vocal approach is obviously a lot different. And I think the music's a little bit different too. I don't think it sounds really exactly like Crimson Glory, but it does have that more progressive feel to it. And it's a lot different than, when I say progressive, it's a lot different than, say, what you did in the Crimson Glory album you sang on, and with like War of Thrones and even in Leatherwolf and all that. So talk about this record. When you came out with this, obviously your vocals are a lot different than the Astronomica album. And was that intentional? I know it's hard to believe that album came out that long ago, 25 years ago. But I know it did have some mixed reviews with some people. And did you change your approach because of that, or did it just, you just evolve as a singer and you just decide, what, I'm gonna sing these tracks this way?
Yeah, there was no intentions of us ever sounding anything like, once again, these people have to understand 25 years old. We use it for the name. If somebody knows it, then they know it and get a leg up. but what we have with this band today, 25 years after that, it's a totally different animal. I really don't see. So I use the name that I sang on the record with why on God's green earth would the record sound like Crimson Glory when we're our own band, we're our own entity. We have our own style. So yeah, there was no intentions of ever trying to sound like that. And concerning Crimson Glory, I love all those guys, man, and I wish them nothing but the best luck in the entire world. But Astronomica by far is no nostalgia act whatsoever. We stand on our own 2 feet across any stage around the world. So we pride ourselves, and we prided ourselves on writing this record. My writing partner Rich Marks, my lead guitar player, we put a lot of time into this, and we put a lot of effort into it, and money and everything else, and blood, sweat, and tears and everything else. So we're proud of the record. I think it's a great record. I don't know, when you get some reviews and this and that kind of aren't like up to your par or whatever. I honestly say that once again, it's 25 years ago. These are new times, new things going on in the music business and stuff. So we swung as hard as we could with this, and look at what it's gotten us so far. So I think we've done a good job.
Yeah, I think the record is excellent. I didn't have any kind of expectations, but you just don't know until you listen to it. I've always been one of those people that reserves my opinion, and until I actually hear the music, because you do have the name Astronomica, and I'll be honest with you, this is going to sound odd, but I almost forgot Crimson Glory released that album because it was a long time ago. But seriously, in fact, when that album came out, I was just starting my actual radio show back then, and I remember when it came out. This music probably wasn't getting as much attention. It was not getting as much attention in the States as it did back then. But I'll be honest with you, I thought this album has turned out really well for you. And I think musically it's a well-written record. I think it sounds good. And, how has the response been for you on this album? I mean, would it be generally positive? Were people assuming it was going to sound like something that it didn't? Reviews are weird because people will make assumptions, right? I've seen some strange, I never read reviews until I talk about a record. So I haven't seen any of the reviews written about it.
Right. I've probably had, and it's kind of like sweet and sour candy, like you had mentioned before, not a lot of people liked Astronomica when it was released 25 years ago. This was right after Midnight's departure. I had read letters from some big record companies that said that they would not sign Crimson Glory without Midnight. So I didn't know what was going to end up happening with it till 7 months later. It really started picking up steam, and we got signed and this and that. So it's always an uphill battle. You've always got to stay tenacious. You've always got to stay spontaneous. We don't try to copy anybody. We don't try to go with the trends or go with the flow of what's popular today. We write what we write because it's what we're digging on right now. So it's just a good vibe all around, and I think we're coming up with some really good stuff. Our next record that we're starting to write on, some pre-production stuff, is it's absolutely incredible. So we'll actually be able to do one that's if not at least good, then a little bit better. So that's what we're shooting for.
Now, being on this label, do you ever find any kind of camaraderie with some of the other bands on the roster? I know you had Tobias from Chris Boltendall's band, who's I believe the new guitarist in Gravedigger now, and he did a guest solo on this. But on a label like that, because I don't consider Roar like a really small entity, because there are definitely some great bands that are doing really well, including you guys. But a lot of times bands on these labels, sometimes, especially in today's climate, do you see yourself really making friends with a lot of these bands and really kind of maybe even working together to prop each other up.
Well, absolutely. I speak with Matt Barlow. I spoke with him a couple months ago about teaming up and possibly doing something for 25. And talking about Tobias, Tobias was the main reason that we end up hooking up with Chris Boltenthal from Gravedigger, which actually did some mastering and some mixing for us over at Graveyard Studios there in Germany. He's the one that got us in touch with Roar and Aki and all of those guys and stuff. He's the one that got it pushed through. He shopped it. He got us signed and everything. Tobias had said something about I got a secret, but I can't tell anybody, and this and that, and blah blah blah. And I was like, blah, it's bullshit. Yeah, I know you got the gig, man, so you can tell me. Come on, little buddy, cough it up. But what a great! I loved Odin Organ was a great band. He was great in that band, and Tobias is just an awesome guitar player, and he'll do well in any atmosphere.
Yeah, Gravedigger is a band that's been on my radio show and even on the podcast off and on. Chris is a really good dude, and I actually got to meet him about 9 years ago. Finally, I mean they don't tour the States that often, but I got to sit on a tour bus and hang out with Chris. I got to interview him for the radio show, and definitely a great guy. He really is. And the funny thing is, he's a tremendous front man. That band puts on a great show. They really do.
Well, you're talking about what do we say, the top 4 big bands, metal bands come out of Germany. It is definitely Gravedigger is one of the first ones that you would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure. And he's a great guy. We started talking back and forth stuff. He started hearing some of the music, and he was like, "Fuck, man." He was like, "This is a no-brainer." He said, "I got to grab a hold of this. Let me help you guys out a little bit, and get you started and get you out there again." So once again, it's really in who you see the same people, coming down as you see coming back up. So, I'm just lucky, and the band's lucky as well, to still be relevant and still be able to, put out records and just move forward with our careers. It's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. My bass player also plays in Nasty Savage, and he also plays in Nocturnus AD. So he's an incredible help to us. And then I have Ryan Bales that's did some stuff with me and Ben Jackson quite a few years ago over in Europe. Mm-hmm. So once again, just kind of keeping it all in the family. We'll probably end up using Patrick Johansson come in and do some drums from Yngwie and Wasp coming back up when we get ready to travel down the drum road.
Now, you just toured Greece, and I've done several shows on how difficult it is and costly it is for bands to tour. And has that climate improved at all? Especially because a smaller band like yourselves, where you're not really that, you're not like Metallica, right? Obviously you are dealing with the more harsh reality of that. And has that improved at all, or is it still pretty bad?
It's the same thing over there, man. The clubs, if you can get 100, 150 people in there and stuff, then you're having a good night. Mm-hmm. Everybody's kind of like on a fixed budget over there, so everything's kind of wacky.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had to pay for our way to get over there. Nobody paid for us to get over there. We paid for it. We paid the tour. We rented the van. We booked the tour. A couple other people that helped me out, Chris Tiger and Matthew Mantos, end up helping us a lot. Sure. Other than that, it's just all people that I know. I'm not a manager. I'm not a tour booker. Between my wife and I, seem to pull it all together, but I'm none of those. But it seems like today that you have to be a little bit of everything, mm-hmm. Because we make our own videos. Yeah, Rich Marks also does that as well. So I mean, it's all pretty much self-contained, so we don't have to outsource too much. I've got my vocal studio here behind me that we use and stuff. So I mean, record at Castle Black, so that's pretty much normal function.
Absolutely. So have you started writing for another record? I know it's sounds crazy to ask that, but have you started writing for another album, maybe slowly making some progress on another record, maybe to come out in the next couple years?
Yeah, Rich and I are always writing stuff, man. We've probably got 5, maybe 6 songs on the back burner that just need to be finished up. Maybe have like another verse and another bridge written to it lyric wise. But other than that, Rich has been working like a dog, man. He is incredible, and he's ended up pulling it all together. And we're gonna start slapping it together here pretty soon. I don't even know what the time frame is of the next deadline for it, so we've got the rest of the year to kind of ride this out, the 25th anniversary. So yeah, we'll probably plan on going back over Europe in 25, and we'll see what ends up happening. Like I said, we'd like to go over and do a tour. I'd like to go over there for a month or so, and going ahead and go from Finland and Denmark all the way down to Italy and Greece again, hit a little bit of everything. But for a band like us, it's hard because, not a lot of people know who we are right now, so we're out there trying to chomp at the bit a little bit and trying to, get up the ladder a little bit. And it's always hard. I know people are probably sitting back wondering, oh, we want to see what he's going to do. We want to see what the record's going to sound like. And we're going to want to see, is he able to get through the tour and this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's funny, man. We've been doing this stuff for so many years and stuff. It's kind of like just second nature anymore. You just kind of get better at what you do, with the practice. Nothing beats experience. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're in a good spot, man. So we're gonna come back out swinging.
Are you performing any of the songs from the Astronomica album, the Crimson Glory album? Have you performed any of those live yet?
Yeah. We did Cydonia. I think it was the first time Cydonia's ever been played live. Crimson never did it. So yeah, and there's a couple other songs and stuff. We did Red Sharks and Dragons Rule for the anniversaries and stuff like that. But once again, those guys are coming back out again. They can do all those songs and stuff. They're their songs. So we want to concentrate more on, of course, some songs off Astronomica. Maybe we'll do a song off Leatherwolf. Maybe we'll bring back Metal Tyrant from Seven Witches. There's quite a discography that we can go through for songs to play live. So I thought it was cool, for an anniversary and stuff like that. But I guess that I don't want to be a nostalgia act. I don't want to have to rely on those songs and stuff when what we have, is strong, and we're going to definitely keep moving on that,
Yeah, my personal preference, honestly, would be for you to play mostly stuff off the record and maybe a Crimson Glory song here and there. But, for me personally, I think going back to Seven Witches or anything you did with Leatherwolf, for example, I don't know. I just, that's not something, if I were to go see you live, probably would not be as into that, even though I like those albums, especially the Leatherwolf album. I do like quite a bit. I feel like, man, I would want to see this, maybe a Crimson Glory song performed, from the Astronomica album itself. But True. I really think your identity as yourselves, I think really carving that out, with this band and going into the next album, same thing. I'd want to hear the actual songs live, from this record.
Well, maybe we'll nix that idea out and stuff like that. But the songs are strong, what we do. So the band's a monster live. So, we have no worries about that. It's just getting back out there. We pound the pavement around here local and stuff like that. But that's, I don't know. It used to be good, but it's kind of not good anymore. For you've got to be a cover band around here in Tampa in order to make any money. They give a shit about original music.
That seems to be the trend everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, kind of sad. But, I don't know. If you want to go and see somebody in a cover band and stuff, that's your deal, then, more power to you.
Yeah, that Leatherwolf album. I'm glad he brought that up because that record. I remember when that came out. I really loved that album. I mean, that was such a
Fucking
great
monster.
Yeah, that was such a great album. That great comeback album for that band. And what was that experience like? And it was weird when they decided to reissue it with your vocal, obviously with the original singer on the album. But definitely, I loved that record when it came out. And how did that whole situation come about as far as you getting in that band and making that record?
It was really, really weird. This guy, Chris, had called me. I guess he was a tour manager for Whitesnake or something like that. And Leatherwolf was looking for a singer. I guess they had Joey Belladonna. They had a bunch of different kind of singers that wanted to come in that audition. I think they had that cat from Racer X. I can't remember what his name is, Jeff Martin.
Yeah.
But they had a bunch of people. I spent $100. I lived in Orlando at the time. Went and spent $100 and did Behind the Gun, I think it was. Sent it there, and they called me the day after, told me I had the gig, and I flew out to LA that weekend following after that.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's so, and again, that album came out almost 20 years ago, right? Was it 06?
Yeah, 06, yeah. But what a great record, man. Go back and listen to The Grail. And God, man, there's so many good songs on that, man. It's just a shame that we were signed to Massacre Records at the time. Went over to play Bang Your Head with Whitesnake. Everything was looking good, We're thinking we could go out and tour and do something. And I asked the dude, I'm like, hey, man, when are we going to tour? What's up next? Where the next show's at? And he's like, there are no next shows. We blew the wad on getting you guys over here. So that was pretty much the ending of that.
I got you, man. Well, I know it's difficult to tour in the States, but this kind of music, obviously being a little bit bigger in Europe, have you had a response to this album, a good one, over here in the States at all?
I really don't know where. I've talked with other people here in the States that have heard the record and stuff like that, but I don't know, for a small band like us, we'd probably have to go out with like Annihilator or something like that, that way we could kind of build our fan base and get out and play a little bit and stuff. And it's always rough here in America. We're a European band,
Yeah, I know. I get it, because Roar, when this album was coming out and when it came out, and I think I even still had a few emails not even a month ago. They were still pretty much hitting my email box pretty hard, and I was seeing the emails, and the promotion machine was on with you guys. It's funny because I get like 1,000 emails a week just from musicians and labels and publicists and all this stuff. But they, like I said, Roar is one of the top like 3 labels where I get a lot of stuff where they stand out with their emails and blasting my inbox, because I get blasted more now, like 50 times more than I did, 25, 26 years ago when I started doing this. So
right. You got to be persistent, man. You got to stay relative, man. We want to try to keep this fire started, and keep it burning. And the promotion's a big part of it and stuff, with all the other crap and the Spotify crap and this and that. And I'm just like, oh my God, man. The music business changed so much for 25 years ago. So, just trying to get up with the times and stuff. It's pretty crazy. I was end up messing around with that AI stuff the other day, and what a bunch of weird shit that is, man.
Yeah, it's weird for photography. I can tell you that, with singing, I haven't really used any of it, but for photography, there's a lot of really bizarre things you can do in Photoshop and everything now.
Right.
And with music production, it's a little bit crazy, because, you got people making like AI versions of Beatles songs with like Ronnie James Dio singing and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, that's horrible. They had to really leave all that stuff alone, man. Nobody, and I don't care. You're never going to be able to get the human part of writing a song. You can AI your ass off all you want to and stuff, and it's still going to sound like that. I AI'd some lyrics the other day. It sounds like Dr. Seuss book, for crying out loud. you know. So
Yeah, when you're talking about Spotify, there's a documentary on Paramount Plus, and I stumbled upon it. I didn't know it was on there. It was called "How Music Got Free,"
mhm.
and it is crazy because in the music business, I remember how big it was when I started doing when I did my radio show, and I started in 1998. That was 98 and 99 were like record years for profits for a lot of record labels. And then
Yeah.
about 3 years later, the Napster thing happened and everybody crucified Lars. And then suddenly the downfall began. And it actually outlines a lot of, where the downfall happened, with downloading and Napster and all that other stuff going on.
Right. I don't know. I don't agree with any of it and stuff. When you only make, 0.00000.5 per song listen, how are you ever going to make any money? It's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not that way. So, yeah, it's always a roller coaster, brother. We're still chasing it, man. Still chasing the fucking rainbow.
Yeah, I remember when Sean Peck got a check for 3 cents from them once. I think it was them. I don't remember if it was Spotify or who it was.
I love Sean. I think he is awesome. I think he is the hardest working man in metal. I mean, I love him to death, man. I think he is absolutely amazing. He goes when I sang with Three Tremors when they came here playing Tampa. He goes, "Fuck, man." He goes, I'm a t-shirt salesman. I'm not even a singer anymore, And somebody had asked him. They go, "Sean, what would you tell up and coming bands and stuff that are about ready to go out there and make this career and stuff?" And he said, "Tell them stop now. Save your money. Don't do it. It's a waste of time." I started laughing. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, there's a
Sean?
clip.
Yeah.
So I had Sean on my show with another friend of mine named Justin from a band called Workhorse, and
Right.
it was really funny. Sean was like, he was talking. I let them both kind of start off the podcast a little bit, but it was funny because Sean's got that sarcastic kind of like tone, and he's like, "All right, everybody, when it's all said and done," he goes, "My best advice for you is to quit.
Stop now, and don't do it."
Yeah. It's a funny. I'll have to message you that podcast, but it's hilarious. And
Right.
and they talk about a lot of stuff. Actually, Justin, he's helped manage bands and has done roadie work and stuff and work for some pretty significant metal bands. And he makes t-shirts as well. I mean, he's actually he's got his own screen printing company, and it's funny because like. The episode was great. I got so much feedback on that, and Sean just cracked me up like the entire time. It's actually like he made me laugh the entire podcast. I had to sit back and kind of like prevent myself from laughing. So
it was funny when he showed up to Tampa. He's got all of his people helping, and they're unloading equipment and this and that. And he gets out of the van and he walks past everybody, and he walks right up to me and he gives me a hug, and everybody's standing there like, "Damn. The fuck, man." I was like, "Hey, it's priorities." So,
that's funny,
John,
man.
He's just a great guy, man, and I wish him all of the success. But I mean, God, man, it's really hard, man. It really is. I mean, we gotta use all of our strength from inside, man, to keep the ball rolling. It's crazy.
And that whole project he did with, doing with Three Tremors with getting Ripper and Harry Conklin, it was an interesting combination of vocalists together.
Right.
And seeing it live was insane. What song did you sing with them out of curiosity? Like, what did you?
I ended up singing a Priest song. I can't even remember what it was.
Oh, okay. I was just curious what song you sang with them,
I
because
think it was, God, yeah, I can't even remember.
Well, anyhow, before we wrap it up here, I would love to hopefully, see this band that you're in get more successful. I'm hoping the environment gets a little bit better for artists. But, again, I think you've done a great job on this. I think that this band, this is a great debut album for this group. And I really would love to see you continue with it.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tony. I really do. Once again, 25 years later and stuff, we still got more gas in the tank and stuff, and we're gonna kick out a bunch of great songs and stuff. Coming up for the sophomore release, with RPM, with Roar, and everything else, everybody behind us and stuff. I think that we're gonna end up doing good things, man. So I feel really positive about it, and I really appreciate you saying that. A lot of people, a little bit too brutally honest, with some things, and I kind of think that be nice, for crying out loud. If you're not even going to listen to the whole record, but you're going to dog it, and say bad things about it or whatever. It's kind of little weird, man. Like I said, sweet and sour candy. So you can't judge your whole entire career on a journalist's,
I'm always brutally honest.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And as well, you should be. If it sucked, we never would have signed with anybody, and we wouldn't be doing what we're doing here now. So once again, man, you just got to be persistent, man, on the ball, and create, man. That's what we're here to do. We don't want to do a safety net record. We don't want to do something that's safe. We want to create something that's bad fucking ass, man. We want to get out there and let people know. We want to stomp holes in the stage. So we got a good start and stuff, man. So
yeah, I think musically, of anything that you've been involved in, I think this is probably, I would say it's a pretty close tie. It's a pretty close call between this and that Leatherwolf album that you did.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, because it just musically, I think it's good. I mean, More Thrones was okay. The Crimson Glory album was all right, but I got to be honest, I think this album is much more refined musically than a lot of the stuff that you've done in the past, at least in my opinion. I mean, Seven Witches was okay. I was never, musically, I was never really a huge fan of them, but I think when it comes from the songwriting perspective of things that you have been involved with, I would say that this Astronomica album is probably my favorite, or pretty much tied with World Asylum, right?
Well, I appreciate that, man. Once again, we tried to do the best that we can, and with people like yourself, that have our back, just gonna, tell people the truth and stuff, I think it's just important, and I really appreciate that, Tony. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, definitely coming on the show again. It's been a while, but definitely like having you on here in the podcast format now. And, I really like the record, man. So,
well, thank you very much, man. Brag about us, and give it a spin. Like I said, we're hard at work getting the next record together and stuff. But thank you, man, for spreading the truth and doing what you do, Tony. There's not a lot of people out there. There's a lot of hacks out there. So